All right, hi. So, welcome to Screencast 1 for review of writing English and grammar. We're going to talk today about parallelism. So, let's get started. So, these were some of the ones that some people wanted a little bit extra practice with. What is parallel structure? So, remember when I said parallel structure is this idea that all parts of the sentence are equal. Remember, the two parallel lines in math mean equal signs. So, all parts of a sentence should be considered equal when we're talking parallel structure. So matching grammatical structures. So they have the same, if elements in the sentence have the same use or the purpose in the sentence, they should be matched. Let's take a look at that and how we see that within the SAT. So we can see parallel structure in parts of a sentence. We can see parallel sentence in headings in a report. If you're building a resume, your parallel structure should continue in there. Like, for example, if I'm saying that I worked part-time at a dog shelter, and that's one bullet point in my resume, and then the next bullet point in my resume says volunteering for a local charity, I should stick with the first bullet point with whatever I start with. So if I worked part-time for a dog shelter, then I volunteered for a local charity. And I want to keep those kind of the same structure. Okay. When you write a thesis statement, you usually have to do, like some hint about what's going to happen in the future. So those are usually in parallel forms. So for example, of a thesis statement, if we're saying that tobacco should be outlawed, we say tobacco should be outlawed because it endangers everyone's health, pollutes the environment, and drains us of valuable energy. We don't have something that is different. They're all the same. Endangers, pollutes, and drains. Same structure to the verbs. So here's an example of poor parallelism. Betty has intelligence, honesty, and she is funny. So if we start with intelligence and honesty, this she is funny is definitely not parallel to the rest. So we can fix it by saying Betty has intelligence, honesty, and humor. Here's another example. Good writing requires you to plan outlines, write several drafts, and revision. We can end that and make it very simple by saying good writing requires you to plan outlines, write several drafts, and revise your work. Now, here's where it gets a little more tricky. If this wasn't here, your work, it would still be parallel, but it wouldn't be the best parallel structure because we have plan outlines, we have writing drafts, and then this one needs something that is being revised. Revise your work. So that's the best example of parallel structure. And sometimes you'll see that on the SAT, that is it the best if it just says revise? No, you want it to be the full parallel throughout the entire sentence. Okay, so parallelism in lists. I left my job for several reasons. The pay was poor, long hours, I found the work tedious, equipment was dangerous. All of these are like not the same with each other. So we want to say, I left my job for several reasons: poor pay, long hours, tedious work, dangerous equipment. This is another one of those things for the SAT that you want to look out for. Remember, shorter, concision, conciseness is usually better than things being long. So if we take the shortest one here and we make the rest parallel with it. Okay. Winston Churchill did not say, I have nothing to offer but bleeding, toil, tears, and sweating. He said, I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat, because he understood parallelism and how important it is to make a point. More examples of parallelism. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Reading, mind, exercise, body. You can see those two parallel things. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth, it should say, in the seat of the scornful. So we have walketh, standeth, sitteth. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. See how both parts of those sentences are equal to each other. Okay, let's look at another example that we need to fix. The housekeeper looked inside the drawers, the bookcase, and under the recliner. Inside the drawers, under the recliner are similar. So we have to change bookcase. The housekeeper looked inside the drawers, on top of the bookcase, and under the recliner. These boys could name the types of trees, flowers, and some kinds of birds in the forests. Let's see what we come up with. These boys could name the types of trees, flowers, and birds in the forest. So maybe they couldn't name all of the birds in the forest, but we still have to make it parallel so it works together. The man was lonely, old, and a miser. We have to change miser to an adjective, lonely, old, and miserly. The model learned to speak well, walking with poise, and that she must apply makeup correctly. This is just a disaster. To speak well, to walk with poise, and to apply makeup correctly. Because we start with to speak well, we have to have to walk and to apply. And that means we have to revise the whole sentence that way. Okay, so which of the following sentences has parallel structure? I wondered whether to make an outline first or I should write the rough draft. I wondered whether to make an outline first or to write the rough draft. I wondered whether to make an outline first or writing rough draft. I wondered whether to make an outline first or that I should write a rough draft. Hopefully, you all know that parallel structure is this one. All right, other examples. The teacher came into the room. He paused before the class and began the lesson. The teacher came into the room. He paused before the class and he began the lesson. The teacher came into the room. He paused before the class and decided to begin the lesson. The teacher came into the room. He paused before the class and beginning the lesson. We have to find the same example. He came, he paused, he began the lesson. Okay, I hope you have the idea of what you're looking for as far as parallel structure is concerned. I have a lot more examples, but we don't need to do those examples. I will post this presentation also in this folder so that you can look through it and review it if you need more review of parallel structure. Otherwise, I feel like parallel structure is pretty much taken care of. All right, thank you, and I hope you are doing well and are ready to start to think about taking that SAT online test.